Hey everybody, it's Garrett here with Bonsai. Today I have a beautiful Hinoki Cypress Sekka variety. It's a small leaf variety, and I'm going to show you how I prune the roots and how I clone using the air layering method. I really like this tight, compact foliage that it has. It's like a super small leaf. Today I'm also going to be removing this moss from the trunk here. Over the winter it kind of grew, and I'm going to show you how I repot this as well. I plan to keep the bottom half of the tree the same size, but this little shoot that's extending up, I'm going to air layer, which is cloning it into a new tree. This tree sometimes gets some dieback, which is like the leaves that die off if it doesn't get enough sunlight. So I'm going to also be cleaning it up a little bit. Here's a standard Hinoki cypress, just as a comparison. See, the regular Hinoki cypress has like larger leaves and it's more spread out. Over the winter, I had it kind of mulched in with pine bark. So here I'm just going to be removing some of that bark, and the tree's tied in at the bottom. So I had to cut the wires and then loosen the soil around the edges. That way I could take it out of the pot. So as you see here, it's really due for a root pruning. You see the roots taking over everything. Now I'm going to be using my root rake, and I'm loosening all the roots and trying to remove as much of the soil as I can. That way I could spread the roots out and trim them up as I need to. Today I'm not changing the pot, so I'm gonna just clean up this pot, that way I can reuse it for the tree. Alright, so now that I got it clean, I'm gonna prepare the pot with the drain screens and the wire. Basically I'm putting a screen at the bottom so the soil doesn't fall out of it. And then I'm gonna be adding a long wire so I could tie the root base down so it won't fall out of the pot once I put it in. Now I'm gonna be like ramping up the soil quality. I'm using a lot of the existing soil that it had, but I'm mixing in some pine bark and some perlite and some lava rock. And I'm also gonna be putting some slow release fertilizer, that way it's fertilized. But this is the mixture that I'm gonna be using. Alright, now I'm going to be spreading out these roots and trimming them back so then it'll have more room in the pot to grow. So every couple of years you want to check the roots like I have and just trim it back a little bit. That way, you know, it can not be pot bound. Now I'm going to try to remove as much as this moss that's growing up on the bark here. What happens with moss that grows on the trunk is it can rot your trunk out and it leaves like nasty spots on the trunk. So I'm just cleaning it up a little bit. Moss is great on top of the soil in your pot because it helps keep the moisture in a little bit, but you just don't want it actually touching the tree. Alright, so now I'm going to start putting the tree in the pot, and first of all I want to put a base layer of soil down. That way when I put the tree in, it's got a base layer that it can rest upon and grow into. Now's a good time to determine like what orientation you want the tree to be placed, like, and how you want it to look. So you just kind of look at it in the pot and see how you like it to look, and then you could tie it down with the wire. Some people twist the wire onto the roots, but I like to just fold it over like this. That way it doesn't like bite into the roots as much. Now I'm going to start sprinkling some soil over the roots and then use a chopstick to push the dirt down past the roots. That way it fills it all in nicely. By doing this with the chopstick, it gives the tree some stability and it like eliminates the air pockets that might be there. Now that moss that I took off of the trunk, I'm just placing on top of the soil. That way it can just grow a sheet of moss on top of it. Now I'm going to start the initial styling of this tree. So the bottom branches I'm just going to wrap around with some wire and then lower them a little bit. That way it can give it some style. Now that I have the tree potted up, I'm going to start the air layering on this branch. So I'm doing the tourniquet method. I don't like to cut the bark where I live because it gets really hot. So the tourniquet method is you wrap this wire around the branch that you want to clone, and it kind of suffocates it so where roots will start growing from on top of the wire here. So basically you just get some plastic with some moist sphagnum moss, and then you could place it around where you put that wire, and then it'll grow roots into the moss there. And then you could eventually cut it off, and then it becomes a new tree. And here I'm adding some root hormone gel. That way it kind of helps the process along to grow the new roots. So here I'm placing the moss ball around the branch, and then I'm going to tie it down with wire. Alright, so now it's all set. I just gotta water it in, and then I'm gonna place it in like a semi-shaded area and just let it do its thing and grow out. And then hopefully in a few months I'll see some roots growing from the moss ball that I put, and then I can cut that little branch off. But anyways, this year it's pretty much finished, and I'm gonna just let it sit there and grow, and I could do more shaping later on next year if I like. But I think I'm finished with this one for this year. Thanks for watching, everyone, and good luck.